at least from what I see.
Huh. It looks like it's okay.
Oh, there it is. It came back.
Stunning, custom-made shadow boxes
That was
and
my
veterans using their awards and their decorations.
Okay.
And their powerful experiences. And as we back coming up, this organization also provides links to all resources somebody might need to help them return to life so they can make a continuing, significant, meaningful contribution to the community. You gotta look them up. VeteransPride.org. Find them, use them, donate to them, because I have to tell you, these shadow boxes make it fun.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Elisa Show here on KUHS The Stream. I'm so glad you've joined us. This is the highlight of my week, absolutely, is being here and talking to all of you. So thank you, thank you. I know it's a rough time. I want to also remind you that it's not hard to build a mask, right? That you can do this. And this show, as you know, is about moving the needle from fear to hope to joy. I have an amazing guest today. We have some just fantastic conversations we're going to have. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Let me just do a shout out to my amazing sponsor. And I want you to remember a couple of things about this show. The tagline is inspiring a renaissance of spirit. And one of the goals that I have set is at the end of the year, all of us will be philanthropists. And I get it. Everybody's a little worried about money right now. But philanthropy can be $1. It can be $1 a month. And I've got this great sponsor, which is a good place for you to start. It's called VeteransPride.org. I hope you've heard the commercials from me. They build these shadow boxes for veterans. It's absolutely an incredible way to honor any veteran in your life. I have them building one for my dad. My dad passed several years ago, but I had his signal flags, and we're going to build this amazing shadow box with those. I also have another sponsor. She's a little hard to connect with her just yet. She's a acupuncturist, does 5-element acupuncture here in Denver. And I think in just a week, probably, she will be able to open back up and help you strengthen your immune system and help you process and deal with some of the issues that have come up for you. Because 5-element acupuncture is not only the body. It's body, mind, spirit, it's breath, it's connection to earth, air, fire, water. So, those are my sponsors. Amazing stuff. I also want to remind you that I have a book that I have to do a little self-promotion, The Way of the Well. I think it's very relevant right now. This is a spiritual adventure romance, so it's a sort of spiritual rom-com with some adventure stuff in it. And I have had readers tell me that it's been incredibly helpful in this time period. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it in a Kindle format. I think the reason they have found it to be so helpful is because this is a time of sinking in, right? Stay-at-home orders, sinking in, going in. And instead of treating this time as something that is limiting us or is in some way inhibiting or hindering our lives, we can treat it as a gift. I have to say that's going to be the part of the conversation today, is how we treat it as a gift. I also want to remind you that you can find me. My website is elisarobin.com, and Robin is spelled with a Y. You can friend me on Facebook. You can find me on the KUHS Denver Facebook site. So many ways to find me. I have an Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. You can find me, you can contact me, and I am offering half-price sessions as long as this time of fear, this time of internal reflection is going on, because I want you to find your soul's craving and to move forward in that way. So everyone take a deep breath in. Just a deep breath, feel yourself, find your center, exhale, and we are all together here on the show. So I'm not going to spend more time just chatting. I want to tell you who I have on the show. You're going to be blown away today. Just stay tuned for the whole show, okay? So I met Paula, I think about 3 years ago. My husband and my mother had passed away 2 months apart, and I felt the need to talk to someone who didn't know me, but who could get in touch with my experience. And I met Paula through sort of a series of lovely synchronicity events, and we connected, and she's marvelous. She has followed the path of her mother's intuitive lineage. She went to college, she graduated, and then she apprenticed with a shaman for 6 years, which is a major life commitment. You just have to realize that. And those 6 years awakened in her skills that she'd always had. So this wasn't she went off and took a class and became a shaman. She was a shaman. She worked with a shaman. And from that, the inner part of her grew. And she does retreats and she does readings, and we'll get into that. But I want her to talk to us first. So, Paula, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So here's where I want to start, okay? I want you to talk to us about what is shamanism and how is that different than all the other stuff out there, right?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, when I started my apprenticeship in the 80s, way back when, there was not as many paths that did out-of-body work, journey work, channeling work, and now, of course, there are more, so which is beautiful, because as the Saint Ramakrishna said, and boy am I paraphrasing, the Divine Mother makes one soup, but she'll make it sweet or salty for you, however your taste is.
I love that.
So basically it's all the same soup. We're all doing light work, we're all doing this beautiful work, but there are many different, many more approaches now that are more publicly known. Shamanism is, well, first off, the word, it comes from Siberia, and that word is used to describe any earth-based, mostly indigenous-based culture's spirituality.
So let me just ask you a quick question, because yes. I think most people think that shamanism means Native, Indigenous American, but I heard that my lineage is actually from Siberia. I heard the word translates into something like coming out of fire. Is that
yes.
true?
Well, like many ancient words, there are so many different translations, but it also can mean one who sees into different, like I would translate that as different levels of reality. One who can pierce the veil, so to speak, who can travel into what is called, and every different indigenous culture would have a different word for this, but into what is called the sacred dream, which is a different level of reality, where you can go for healing, you can go for knowledge, enlightenment, to refine your skills, to heal your physical body. And that, there are so many things, no matter if you're talking about the shamanism of this land, Native American, or you're talking about Celtic shamanism, or any shamanism from any culture, like Toltec, there's always journeying. There's always leaving the body and journeying to a different realm of reality. That's really what unites us, as well as the earth being sacred, the stars and sun being sacred. When I say that now, everybody will go, of course, you know? But you have to understand how radical that was. that is, it's so beautiful now that everybody has Earth Day, you know, and they're all, I mean, Earth Day was old, but now everybody sees the earth as sacred. Everybody understands that. But that was not always the case. And so that was a big tenet of shamanism, or any earth-based spirituality. is seeing the divine reflection in the natural world. And so it's beautiful that more paths do that now, yes.
Yes, and I think it's fascinating that this time we're in has definitely made us more aware of that, right? If you look at the pictures from around the world, animals are showing up. They were always there, but now they're taking over the streets, right? That there are coyotes walk in the streets where they were always in hiding because the people are in hiding. And I think we're seeing nature reemerge right now.
Oh, so true. I that everyone knows that we've been out of balance. I think everybody can agree we've been out of balance. But how do you restore balance? I think that's a very difficult question. And nobody really, we have ideas with, using less carbon emissions, and, we have ideas. But nobody really knows how to get there, really. And what this showed us, this period of time, is this is how you get there. You really use less in the physical world. You try to. And by that, you see how quickly some things can restore.
Right.
It's quite beautiful. The earth regenerates herself. Yeah, she always has.
Right, and
there were dinosaurs here. They're not here anymore. The earth regenerates all the time. And so, as human beings, I believe it's our responsibility to live in balance. As the Buddha said, it's the middle way. It's the middle path. It's not all or nothing. We don't have to give up every airplane. We just have to balance that a bit.
It's so fascinating because, and I really want to talk more about shamanism, but I feel like this is almost like a shamanic experience we are all having, right? Like the planet said, I'm a little tired of you. Could you all go to your rooms and just have time out for a little bit? And while you're there, maybe you could have a little shamanic awareness and awakening, like go into some dreams. And because we know that when humans change our patterns, we often don't go back. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how we come back. But let's go back to this, because I know in talking with you, shamanism is something that was already in you, that you knew you had to follow this path. So it wasn't like you went and took a 4-day workshop and went, oh cool, I'm a shaman. So can you talk a little?
Well, it would be like going to any religion, I shouldn't say religion, I should say spiritual path. But even like if you went to a nice weekend workshop on Catholicism, I don't know if you'd come out and say automatically you're a Catholic, or if you went to a Buddhist retreat, you may say, oh, this has enlightened my heart, and this is a path I'd like to follow, whether it be a traditional religion or a more spiritual path. But with shamanism, it's very interesting because everybody has an opinion. There really isn't one criteria across the board. I can tell you, though, that people who are on this path and it's their life, they had experiences as children. And what happened was the experiences they had as children, when they read about shamanism, they went, oh, that's what I am. It kind of went that way for them. And it certainly did for me. It certainly did for me. And honestly, my first wake up was reading Carlos Castaneda at 17.
And I think that book transformed a lot of people's thinking, but transforming our thinking is not the same as making a 6-year commitment to be an apprentice, right? So I think there was something different also within you.
I'm getting used to the format. Sorry. I totally agree. There should be in everyone's spiritual calling and path a wake-up call, where you read something, or you go to a lecture, or you have an experience, and that is the call to say, pursue more. Pursue more. And then you trust your intuition and your discernment as to who to do that with, or what materials to read, and you're on a path. And it's a beautiful path. No matter which path you choose, it's a beautiful path. And the path is overall life, but of course it is that spiritual context as well. Everyone should see this as not so much pressure and more of the beauty of the journey.
So
it's the journey.
Here's what I love. So I love everything you're saying, and we do this when we talk. We both want to, because we both get so excited when we're talking together. What I'd love to ask you about is, so, and I think I've asked you this before. When people hear shamanism, often they think, oh, power animal, right? But there's so much more. So could you maybe go? So you've talked about the dream time, right? The sort of alternate reality. What are the other elements that you would say make shamanism unique, or that are the elements that called to you when you realized this was your path?
Oh, well, as a child, and I mean very, very young, I could see energy coming up off the earth. I could see the energy coming off of the ocean, and it looks like little waves, like heat off a stove, maybe. And so I understood, without being able to put it into words, very young, energy, and what energy was doing, holding us all in, from everything from what we would call gravity, holding us all in place, to how it affected us physically, emotionally, and all these things. When I started to read about shamanism, I was like, yeah, that's right. That's what I see. It was like kind of like that. As a child, I addressed the moon as grandmother. Just I would talk to the ocean as mother. I would make little offerings in the sand and give it to her. You know, so to me, it's putting that all together. Now, the other aspects of shamanism, other than the sacred dream, is finding that connection through the elements, as I did as a child, is finding the truths about energy, the energy around us, the aura, if you wish to say it that way, and how energy really relates to everything on the planet. To me, that's a big aspect. Now, for me, there are shamans that, work with plant medicine. There are shamans that work more with astrology. There's many aspects to it. It's a broad word, basically. It's a broad word. But like I'm not a shaman that works with plant medicine per se. That is just, and I will tell people, oh, that's really not what I do. I have a foot in the sacred dream. I'm seeing non-ordinary reality a lot. Right. So, but like I said, it would be different types of teachers for whatever is calling to you. But I refer people to other teachers all the time for that.
So let me ask you, because so the work you did with me was reading. I'm going to say it, and then you can correct my language. All right, that people from my lineage, people from my past who have died, who have passed, who showed up, who were able to talk to you, right, and talk through you. And I do believe a spirit guide may have also shown up in that. It was 3 years ago, so I'm trying to remember. And I guess here's what I want to ask you, because I'm not a shaman. I haven't studied shamanism. But I have that relationship with the ocean. And the thing that I never tell people, that I'm going to say now on KUHS, the stream, and live radio, right, is that I can channel. And I do channel spirit guides, and I have channeled people who have passed. That is something, if I let myself do it, I can do it. I'm not a shaman. So I want to know, though, like how you develop that, and how you have found a way to use that to help people, right? Because while I can do it, while it can happen, you have refined it. You live that experience when you work with people. So can you talk a little more about that?
So around it, I basically can, because of years of practice and needing to learn how to live in the physical world, can focus and basically see energy around people. Through the energy that I see around people, I get quiet, and then there's a telepathy aspect where the information, it becomes in my mind, and then be brave enough to speak it, and that's how it works. So it's basically the gift of being able to see energy that I had since I'm young, and then a long process of being able to trust myself, to being able to speak what I was seeing. The long process basically is just the self-trust, refining the skills, coming into the quiet. But I'm sure that other mediums, channelers, you know, would say it the same way. I just always will talk about the word energy. And maybe they would use a different word for that. Like I said, it's all the same soup. So what you're doing is very similar to me. Basically, I call myself a shaman because it's the closest word I could ever find to match what I was doing. If you came into my class, it would be part lecture, but then we'd do a big Dreamtime journey, which is a guided meditation that would hopefully get you into an altered state, where information would come to you that your conscious mind would not be able to get in any other way. Okay? A shaman would think we're really leaving our bodies and going, and the more you practice this, the more you will feel that that place is just as real as the couch you're sitting on, or the floor you're lying on. That would be a shaman tip. But either way it works. You're going to get information that will enhance your life. You see? So that is, am I making sense?
No, you're making perfect sense. I have 15 other questions I want to ask you because they're making perfect sense. Can you, without cutting you off, can you talk more, because I don't think I've ever asked you this, what, you studied with a shaman, you apprenticed for 6 years. So,
7.
7, oh, 7. So, clearly you can't tell me everything that happened, but can you tell me, like, what is that like? I guess I'm trying to get at the, sure, lots of people channel, but you are a shaman. And so what, what in...
A shaman from Queens, a wacky shaman from Queens.
Who's now in Denver, I love it. Right? Who went to New York University.
Say that part of the shaman too is that I do have a Celtic lineage on my mother's side. The Robertson clan, one of the oldest clans in Scotland. I'm not saying that you need to have an indigenous tie to be a shaman, because we've had many lives, you know. There are many people who think that, though. And there are many people who are really rather snobby about it. I'm not, because no matter who you are, no matter what you may identify with spiritually, no matter what, if you do this work, it will enhance that path.
So can you talk a little bit about, like, the apprenticeship? I mean, you know, were you learning rituals? Clearly, I know you can't tell me everything, but in general, and here's why I want to ask this. One, I want to know. But two, again, back to the beginning of our conversation, I think so many people think you go take a 6-week course, and this was a life commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so can you just
the
talk
life
about
commitment
those?
was part of meeting her. You know, the life commitment, this is just, if you're a shaman, it's who you are, basically. You're going to walk barefoot on the earth and say, hello, mother. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really told you to do that. You're going to look at the sky and feel these things. You're going. So I would say a shaman is who you are, and what the apprenticeship does is help you refine it and really use it in a way to help yourself and perhaps help others. But no matter what, live on the earth in more balance and be of help just through your energy evolving. No matter what, you will be of help to others just because your energy has begun to evolve. So, you know, to say you're a shaman after a weekend workshop, like I said, that's just, you know, like you're going to put it on your website and charge for a seminar or something. I've seen people do that before, and all I can say is I just trust the universe that will sort itself out, you know. It's not, to be a shaman is not always a fun thing, you know. Like any real spiritual path, there's dark nights of the soul, there's what we call a shaman death that you go through, there's it's who you are, basically. But if someone came to my class and they did the Shaman Star year-long class with me, they will leave, hopefully, knowing themselves better, loving themselves better, and have refined their gifts, however they wish to use them. So you don't have to become a shaman to work with a shaman. It will help you no matter who you wish to evolve to be or who you're supposed to be. But yeah, one workshop of anything I don't think would create an expertise in anything.
Right. So somebody working with you, they may not work with you because they feel like they want to be a shaman, but working with a shaman would help anyone, right? So it would help me go deeper into whatever my own spiritual path is and my own gifts. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, and I want people to know that, and certainly that's been the case. I've been teaching now, this will be the 10th round of Shaman Star, and I've been offering Changing Personal History, which is spirit retrieval work. That's like a one-on-one class workshop for a very long time, most of my life. And not everybody leaves there going, oh, now I'm a shaman, They leave there going, I understand myself better. I've refined my gifts. I've learned some tools to help myself grow. And a teacher's role is to create a healer and teacher, not to create a facsimile of herself. It's to allow that person to become who they're supposed to be. My goal always is, a lot of people leave Star class and then they're going to take this other class and now they're becoming a therapist. Or it helped refine their active power in the world. It helped them discover who they are.
I love
That's
that.
the goal.
Right.
That's the goal.
I
Really. You need empowered people, shining in their light.
One of the reasons I love that is I've been in academics. I left my 25-year career in academics recently. And I often say to people, it does not matter what I'm teaching. What people really want to know is, how do I live a good life? How do I find my true self? So it didn't matter if I was teaching geology, or then when I changed into psychology, or leadership classes. That was the surface conversation. It was this deeper level that people always wanted. And so you're doing that same thing. So before we go on, because I'm sure people are just wondering, okay, how do I talk to this woman? So let me say, one of the ways is to, you can contact me, right? Dr. Elisa Show here on KUHS The Stream, and I will send you information on how to get to Paula. But you do Shaman Star, is that correct? Yes. So people could go to Shaman Star, they can do a search on that.
Shamanstar.org.
Shamanstar.org, and you have classes, you have workshops, and then you do this individual one-on-one readings. Can you, I experienced that, I know why it was helpful for me. Can you talk about what people get out of, because you talked about what they get from the classes. You do the one-on-one, and what do you feel that, when would somebody come to you for a session like that, an individual session?
For really any purpose. I mean, I've been really honored to help people with loved ones that have passed on. When you have a loved one that has passed, of course, they're still connected to you in energy. And by sitting with you and focusing on that energy, I can bring that essence in, and I can, through telepathy and a process that is, I'm not sure I can put into words, be a bridge of communication between yourself and that energy that, of course, still exists, that was in the body as your loved one. It's taught me what always lasts, which is your deepest beliefs you take with you, your deepest self you take with you. It's taught me so much. So it's been an honor. I've been doing that work, I would say 17 years. And so people come in for that, just for that session. And then, of course, people come in with different questions, wanting some guidance in their life. Basically, the future is filled with probabilities.
Yes.
Many different probabilities. My job is to show the best probability and offer guidance on how to get there. what wound may still be blocking you that you're not aware of? What obstacle that we can clear? Sometimes we just clear it in the session. When you leave thinking differently, you're creating a different reality for yourself. So it's not just, a psychic session. It's basically people sit down and they go, I'm dating this man, what do you think? I can look at their energy and I can tell you all about it. Or a lot about him.
A lot about him.
And you can make a decision. And then I can give you probabilities.
Right.
And many times, what will happen is the person will decide for themselves, what will serve me best? What will be the most loving thing to do? What will be the best outcome for both? But it's always like that. If I can give a quick story, I always say before the beginning of each session, my mother is so psychic she won the lottery, which is true. When I was 13 years old, my mother dreamed where the ticket was, what time of day to get it, and which ticket to buy. And she was amazing.
Wow.
Okay. And she won, I think it's about $20,000 in the 70s because she followed that guidance. She got into the car and went to the drugstore at 4 p.m.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what I always say to people. You come to someone like me, I have insight. I can offer you that insight, but the future is up to you. Are you going to get in the car or not? She didn't have the future of winning the lottery. She had the future of seeing where the ticket was. Her free will won the lottery because she got into the car. You see?
Yes.
And I think it's important for every intuitive to start empowering the individual with their free will. That you are there for guidance, not to tell them what to do, not to say absolutely. You're there to say these are the probabilities. How can we create a situation that will make you happy, that will serve your peace and your well-being?
Right. I remember you telling me that story, and it's amazing. And I think those are some of the reasons you and I connect so well. When I look at a person's chart, I see their wound. I can look at, from a past life, the skills they brought, but the skills they've overly relied on, and their potential, their soul's craving. What do you want to develop in this life? But then an astrological chart is not predictive. It's opportunities, it's energy, it's challenges, and then we have to make choices. We have free will. And how we act on that information is what creates our future. And I think that we share that in philosophy. I also think it's how people, because so many people know astrology, for example, as they just read a daily prediction, and that's not what astrology is. And it's probably similar to people who come to you who say, just tell me my power animal. As if that is going to, right? Like, okay, I mean, we could do that, but exactly what are you going to get out of that, right? That there's a deeper level that both of us take people to. Okay, now, I just have to ask you this question because I've asked you before and you were like, yeah, the gold ticket in shamanism is everybody wants to know about their power animal. So talk to us about...
You have to do the meditation. It's really important. Because if I just tell you, it won't mean as much.
Right, but tell us what a power animal really is. How people might use that information. Just talk about the notion of a power animal, okay? That.
Okay. So every one of us has an instinctual nature. Okay? And the instinctual nature is how you relate in a primal level to the world. You know? Like someone could say fight or flight. You know? How you just from birth really react to certain provocations. And what your power animal does is it becomes a reflection and a deep mirror of self-understanding, right? That's the first aspect of it, is by finding your animal, you now understand your instinctual nature. Like, so basically, I kind of steer people away to like the animal cards and stuff, because that's someone else's interpretation of that animal. after they do the meditation, they find their medicine or their animal. What I ask is that they study the animal themselves. You know, how does it live? Does it mate for life? Is it a gatherer or is it a predator? What does it do? That's going to tell you a lot about who you are as a person. Is a saying that we have in Shaman Star: true knowledge is the only of self is the only true power. Okay, because
So
once
let's
you
say
know
that.
yourself,
Let's say it again. True knowledge of self is the only true power.
Only true power.
Okay. All right.
Everything else is borrowed. Once you know yourself, you make good decisions for yourself in the world. Once you start relating to your higher self, you make better decisions automatically. Better things are brought to you automatically. Okay? So the power animal is a necessary step in embracing the truth of your nature with unconditional love.
Okay.
And who you are and situations that will benefit you. Then second, it becomes an ally in the sacred dream. Like you can go in meditation and sit with this animal and remember who you are and feel that power and connect with yourself really on an earth-based place. You see?
I do. So, what I love is this is a very different way than most people talk about their power animal. So let me ask you a question, because I have done the meditation, but I've had many experiences, and I don't know how many I've shared with you, but is it possible, so I have done the meditation and done things that way. Is it also possible that the animal just comes to you in life and you have an experience, and can you have more than one? Those are two questions. One, can they come to you in life? And two, can you have more than one?
Okay. You don't have more than one primal nature. You're either a gatherer or a predator. Okay? And if you're a predatory nature, that's a beautiful thing. The word predator in our culture is now used, you know, in a difficult way. I want people to understand the great cats, for instance, when they only hunt what they need. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So no, you have one nature. Okay, so you have one animal that really symbolizes that, but you can have many allies. You can have many animals that you relate to, that you find solace in, that inspire you, that perhaps come to you in a dream with a message. That can be many and plentiful, and it should be. But the one is really who you are.
So what if, I'm sort of avoiding telling you the story, but what if you, maybe I should just tell you the story. So I had done some dream work and was out running one day in Denver, on one of the bike paths on the west side, very far west side of Denver. And I was meditating while I was running, and like, am I on the right path? Was that really my animal? And I don't know. And in mid-stride, I heard that unmistakable sound that tells you there's a rattlesnake nearby. And there was a coiled rattlesnake. I mean, all of this happened in slow motion, right? I'm running. I look down between my legs. There's a coiled rattlesnake rattling. I take two of the longest steps I've ever taken in my entire life. Stop, turn around, maybe three, I don't know. Stop, turn around, and this rattlesnake has come straight up out of its coil and is looking at me, flicking its tongue and rattling. And there's no one else on the bike path anywhere. And we stood there and looked at each other for I don't know how long. And then I think it was a she, for some reason, went back down into her coil and went away. She didn't hurt me, she didn't bite me, she didn't anything me. I took that very clearly as a power animal interaction, because I was meditating while I was running on my path, okay? And I have to say that thinking of myself as having a rattlesnake as a power animal was a little awkward.
Daunting.
Yes, daunting. That's a good word. But I wasn't going to deny the experience. I mean, this was very. I mean, I've seen rattlesnakes everywhere. I live in Colorado. This was different. This was a conversation. So what happens if you, and I'm not asking you to reflect on the experience, but what happens if you you find yourself connected to an animal that you find a little daunting, that hanging out with them is a little less comfortable than, let's say I got a koala bear, right?
I always admire the people after the meditation, because everybody wants a cute animal or one they identify with as powerful, like a hawk or an eagle or a wild cat, and then you get one person who goes, I'm an alligator, I love it, I'm dealing with it. I'm just like, power to you, sister. So what I can tell you is, no, I would not say that is your intrinsic nature. I would not say that. I would say it was a messenger, and whatever you had been meditating on at that time, it was a sign related to that meditation. It was a sign about something that was going on in your life at the time, and of what you were thinking about at that time.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. That would be very, very hard. And I believe to really get your animal, or I think you need to be in a meditative state and go into the sacred dream and be guided. And then the animals that come up, sometimes, yes, you could meet your medicine, absolutely, especially in Colorado, right? Mm-hmm. But by and large, when there's interactions with people with powerful creatures of the natural world, what I would say is that that's a message for you. And that makes it's cool to discern that.
It makes lovely sense.
And talk to somebody about it.
Right. I mean, and it was quite a while ago, and it makes lovely sense. And I will just say in passing that the animal that did come to me when I was doing the dream work is equally as daunting. So I never get cuddly. And I'm not even going to tell you what that one is, but I'm going to say I do not get cuddly, ever.
Well, here's the thing. Do wild animals get cuddly? I mean, yes, maybe with their young. I mean, we all have beautiful films of wild cats like tigers playing with their young, but by and large, after that period's done, they're not cuddly.
And mine's not cute either. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
Mine never even had a cute period.
See, embracing that is a powerful thing. I always say to people in power and meditation that for some reason, a black panther or jaguar, it seems to be very, the sexy power animal, and a lot of people.
Right.
I don't know, and so I'm just like saying, you could have it, but yeah, there's certain projections that people have of what they maybe want, but it's real when people come out of a meditation very surprised, like, wow.
Which is definitely what happened to me. So, if you're listening to us, this is the Dr. Elisa show on KUHS, the stream, with the amazing Shaman Paula, who you can find at, let me say it right, shamanstar.org. And really, anyone can find you there for the readings, for the classes, for the workshops, right?
Yes, and of course we had a big schedule that's been pulled back, and everything's evolving for this year. This STAR class was done some Zoom, which was kind of amazing, Zoom meetings, but we're hopeful that we will be out there for summer solstice, if possible, and that's a beautiful free event that I will connect with on my Facebook page. I'm Paula Elizabeth on Facebook, and openly invite people to. So, but we'll have to play it all by ear this year, but hopefully there'll be some free offerings as well to have people to come and be with each other.
I think this is an amazing time where humans are learning that we never had control. We never had control, and we don't know. We can't, right? I mean, most people plan summer vacations and they assume they got a 90% chance of going, right? But we just assume, this is going to happen. And it's amazing to be in this time where we have to say things like, I don't know, maybe there'll be an event, maybe there won't be an event. And who will I be when I get to the event? So I want to shift gears just a little, if you're okay with it, and because you talked about the moon as grandmother. And we just had a new moon yesterday, and I have to say I've been doing a lot of astrology on the show. All of you who've been listening in the Dr. Elisa show here on KUHS know that. We've been doing a little astrology each week, and the new moon was yesterday in Taurus, which meant it was conjunct, it happened to be conjunct Uranus. It is, which is also near the sun right now. It's square Saturn. It's squared, just Saturn right now. So just those two things, right, are sort of crazy. We know at a new moon the sun and the moon are linked up, and that we have to rely more on our intuition during a new moon, but that emotions can get very, very intense. So because this is also a Uranus conjunction, which is the rebel of the universe, I'm an Aquarius, I love Uranus. Saturn is in Aquarius. Paula, you're a Taurus, yes? Is that right? Yes. And
Yeah.
so this is like your moon, right? So
Yeah, kind of.
kind of. So we all have this sort of feeling of constriction and wanting to break free. I think you do more things with the full moon, but can you talk about just like what you might suggest to people around doing with the new moon?
I love that there's a correlation now where Denver's thinking we may take our first steps in opening up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's a new moon.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, just new beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful exercise on a new moon is to kind of create yourself a moon calendar where every new moon begins a new cycle for you. And that you take the essence of the sign the moon is in, such as Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what can I do during this new moon cycle to ground myself as we have a new beginning venturing out into the world in a different way? Taurus also, to me, is self-care. You know,
Absolutely.
how I nurture myself.
Absolutely.
What foods can I feed myself? Am I getting enough sleep, enough water? And so with this new moon, I would make a list of the things that will empower me as we come out of this hibernation. You know, what did I like about the hibernation time that I can include in to my regular life? I know for me, this hibernation time has been, although I do a lot of work with a lot of hurting people, not to mitigate the grief
Absolutely.
that is there. But for me personally, it was a wonderful thing to be in the house for a month. Who knew? But it really, really was.
Right.
So I'm going to make sure that I'm including, as we go back into our normal, whatever that is, lives, that I'm including even more time for reflection on my own, enough sleep. It's kind of it's time to up our game, basically, Taurus is saying, in self-care.
Well, Taurus is interesting because it is such a sensual sign, right? People always think of it's the opposite sign is Scorpio, and everyone says to me all the time, so Scorpios are all about sex. You have to say Scorpio men definitely have that reputation, but every astrological sign likes sex, right? Otherwise, the planet, all of our parents would be Scorpios. I mean, and they're not, right? So everybody engages in this activity regardless of astrological sign. Taurus.
I love that.
Just saying, right? Taurus, and if you're a Scorpio man out there listening, you're nodding your head and thinking interesting thoughts. Taurus is the sign of sensuality, right? The reflection. Scorpio is passion. Taurus is sensuality. So when we talk about it, it's exactly what you said. Astrologically, I would say this is a time to think about, what are you eating? How are you caring for your body? You haven't been able to go to a spa or a salon. What are you doing to feed your senses? I find it interesting that the virus starts by taking away your senses. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
I thought of that as well when they were starting to talk about that you don't taste and you can't smell. Yes.
So our connection to the planet starts to go away. Our senses start to go away. And I'm not asking for shamanic cures. I'm just saying, fascinating to me that with this new moon in Taurus, as we're starting to talk about opening up Denver, at least, right, that we are also acknowledging this was a disease of the planet. This is a time when we had to get more in touch with our sensuality, our connection to the planet, our food needs, all of that happened. And then we get a new moon in Taurus, and suddenly we think, not quite suddenly, but maybe now we're ready to continue to acknowledge those parts of ourselves. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Taurus to me very much embodies the physical world, very much. It's a grounded
Yes.
sign. So it really is calling us back to walk on the earth in a different way, with more
Right.
knowledge, more compassion and respect for one another, and for the planet itself, which is quite beautiful. I think there's so much. We're going to be learning from this experience for the rest of our lives, basically. And there is so much beauty that can be born out of sorrow. I know that people will find that.
I think that's one of the things, and I'm sorry, I know we always talk over each other, but it's one of the, I want to tell people it's a great reason to work with Paula, because we are all going through grief process right now. Grief over, many people have died, people have been sick and recovered, where the grief over our security, people have lost jobs, a grief over feeling safe coming to the radio station, going to the grocery store, the grief over the loss of freedom we felt like we had, on and on and on. And while I worked with you, Paula, on after my mother and husband passed, I think that your work would help people just deal with all of that grief and then find meaning and purpose, or where they dig deep for what is under that grief. Does that make sense?
Yes. They need to, would very much help people to understand the energy continues, that their loved one has changed form, how to perhaps connect energetically with that form, to bring themselves peace. This is very helpful, especially for people who could not be with their sick loved ones in the hospital, which I have been helping a few, but it's very deep, and help them find a sense of safety within surrender. We have to find safety within ourselves. That love is eternal.
Yes.
The overall truths that allow me to connect with someone who's departed energetically, and find deep, not just solace, but truth in that personally, so that the uncertainties of the world and physical reality, while they're still daunting at times, won't shake us as deeply to the core, because we have built a reservoir of strength within us with our own personal truth.
That is so beautiful.
Most important here.
That is so beautiful. And I know we thought we'd have a whole conversation about surrender, and I led us in a different direction. But I think the kind of surrender you're talking about isn't giving up. It's not that kind of surrender. It is a surrender to a deeper knowledge, a surrender to, here's my reality right now, and instead of fighting my reality, I will accept it. And so when you say surrender, I hear deep acceptance.
Acceptance, and also to invite your higher self in, to invite your guides and allies in. You must be in a state of sacred vulnerability. You must be open. That's the type of surrender we're talking about, where the mind decides it doesn't know everything, it can't know everything, and it's in that moment of saying, please show me, please guide me. That's the surrender. It's a 1 foot in spirit and 1 foot in the physical, and the foot in spirit is open to guidance.
So I want to, and only because you and I clearly have to do this again, but can you believe it? I have like less than a minute left, or a minute left. And that is a beautiful point for you to end on, that the foot in both worlds and the foot that is in the spirit is open and ready to hear and accepting. And then, much like when we talked about power animals, you accept the animal that comes to you. You surrender to that power, as that's knowledge of who you are. So Paula, just hang out for a minute. Thank you so much for being here. And we have been talking for an hour, if you can believe it. You have been listening to Dr. Elisa on the Dr. Elisa Show on KUHS, the stream out of Denver. I am so grateful that you've been here. I want to do one more shout out. I have two amazing sponsors. One is veteranspride.org. Look them up. They're fantastic. And the other is Nancy Harmon and 5 Element Acupuncture. I will give you more information as she's able to open up in her world. And my guest today was Paula, the shaman from New York who resides in Denver at shamanstar.org. And as always, you can find me at elisarobin.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me at KUHS Stream. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me at LinkedIn. And I really want to hear from you and talk with you. Thank you for being here. And please stay tuned. We have some amazing music for you.